Hello folks, welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for joining me once again. You are always most welcome. Well, today, something a bit different. A kit lent to me by our good friend David, and it is another one from Ukraine, but it's not ICM this time, it's ModelSvit's Su-17 M4R. So it's the Su-17 Fitter, as NATO designated it, but this one in the services of the Air Force of Ukraine, and this is an interesting one. Now, we have seen a ModelSvit kit once before. We had the Mirage, and it was rather nice, as I recall. This is an interesting kit. It's their kit number 72058, and it has three options, 72nd scale I should have added. Three options here in terms of the Ukrainian Air Force, and it says it's based at Mokra in Zaporizhia. I couldn't find Mokra. I don't know, maybe someone that's had a name change, I'm not sure. But I think it's just to the northeast of Zaporizhia. There is an airport there. I suspect it's that, but they've maybe had a name change, I'm not sure. Anyway, there's three versions. 48th Separate Reconnaissance Squadron, Yellow 12 or Yellow 49 or Yellow 50, so actually quite a similar aircraft. And on the other side you have got some of their other offerings. They've got the Su-22, the Su-22 M4, and then the Su-22 M4 but in Czech markings, or this one in fact is included, which is 17058. So let us have a little looky-see at what we've got here, something a little bit different. Given my recent comments about the staff from ICM telling us about life back home, I thought it'd be nice to do another one with a different Ukrainian manufacturer this time, just to see what they're like. And let's have a look. So, okay, so the Sprues are all in one big resealable bag, and they're really tightly packed in this instruction book, I've got to say. It's tricky. Good job I've got the gloves on. I wouldn't be able to manage to have got that out, I don't think, otherwise. Alright, so, any decals on the inside? Oh, the decals are inside, right, well, we'll get them out. I like the resealable bag actually. That's very good. Another resealable bag. So, we'll have a look at the decals first, I think, as I often do. Gosh, I'm employing the grip of the gloves today. So, yeah, they're really nice ones actually. Look at this. So you've got the traditional crest of Ukraine for the tail. Let's see if we can zoom in properly for this. Here we go. Yes. And then we have got obviously the roundels of the Air Force of Ukraine, and then there's quite a few bits of instrumentation. And then there's quite a few stencils, not too many, but yeah, enough. Quite a, well, I'll say that, there's a lot actually, there's about there's got to be 125 stencils there, 120 stencils, something like that. Quite small, bit tricky. And then you've got your squadron aircraft ID markings over there. Yes, my eyes are struggling with those are quite small. Okay, that's the first thing. So first of all, let's have a look at the instructions and see what they say about the Su-17, and I say it's the M4R, but that's the reconnaissance version. Well, hang on a second. It's got M4P. I think this is just a translation thing. The P is an R in our language, in English. A little bit confusing. Reconnaissance. It's the reconnaissance version. So it says the Su-17 M4 S-54 was the final production version of the Su-17 family. The new aircraft successfully passed its flight test in September 1982 and entered service in September 1983 under the designation Su-17 M4R. Gosh, I thought it was earlier than that. That sounds late. I'm just thinking of the aircraft that, you know, the British and American and French Air Forces were putting into force. You got things coming in like the Rafale. Well, maybe not quite then, but they were certainly developing it. You certainly got the Tornado in the Royal Air Force. I'm pretty sure the Tornado will outperform this on just about every level, but anyway. And because you've got the F-15 and the well, you've already got the F-14, but you've got the F-15 then, commonly in service. It looks a bit out of date for the date it came into service to me. A little bit obsolete looking, but maybe I'm wrong. It says the aircraft was equipped with the AL-21F3 engine, a modern walkie-talkie R862 radio, presumably, an ASP-17B sight compared to the BCVM. Aiming was provided by laser rangefinder target indicator, which is the pod underneath, I noticed. The aircraft had a fixed air intake shot cone, as the main purpose was ground target attack. Okay, so it's not a hunting radar for air to air, in other words. So this is the ground attack and reconnaissance version. The maximum speed was limited to Mach 1.75. It's not all that quick, is it? I mean, a Lightning would shoot that down, wouldn't it? You know, Mach 2 easy. Externally, an Su-17 differed from the M4 differed from the M3 by a small intake on the spine of the fin. Oh yes, at the back. The aircraft used both missile and bombing weapons. The aircraft was equipped with overhead container for reconnaissance purposes. Overhead container. I'm not sure they mean overhead. I think they mean an underslung pod because it's in the picture. After the collapse of the Soviet Union, part of the Su-17M4R aircraft passed into the Ukrainian Air Force's hands. The serial production of the Su-17 lasted 20 years. It's not that long, is it? And 2,820 variants of the famous aircraft were manufactured. Okay, and then they give you the colour codings. Mr. Colour, which is really helpful for me personally, but anyway, at least they are helping you, telling you what the colours should be. It's better than some do. Border, are you listening? Right, let's have a look at the instructions. Zoom in on this. Have a nosy. Looks like it's got a fair amount of parts actually. So we've got our sprue tree map here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 sprues and photo etch and a mask set. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, okay. So starts off by building up the ejector seat and the headrest. Looks very detailed. ModelSvit very good. I seem to recall I enjoyed looking at the last one. Plenty of detail here on this ejector seat in terms of the rail system and the rocket motor at the back. You've got, I presume this is from the PE, this is your seat belt set, which looks very cool. Then you've got, looks like the radar set that's in the nose. You've got your, what's that? That's the back of the instrument panel? No, that's the back of the ejector seat bulkhead where the ejector seat rail will go. And all your fittings and buckles, and this looks very fiddly. I have to be honest, that looks really tricky, this scale. Then we've got our main control stick, the main controls, and that looks quite complicated as well. There's a lot of parts, and they're telling you. Sorry, what I thought were parts. I thought it was going to turn into mini art then. It isn't. It's just a strange symbol they've got, which is like a brush, telling you the colours to paint it. That's all it is. It's just a little bit unclear actually. Then you've got your main, the nose gear well underneath the cockpit going in, and then you're going to bring all this together. There's various bits of decals for the instrumentation and switch gear. You've got some PE going in there, little bits of everything here. It's quite a fiddly multi-part set for such a small kit. I've got to say that it's going to keep you quite busy. Quite a lot of pre-painting to do as well. And then you've got your engine intake for the front. And you've got the jet. Sorry, that's the jet pipe at the back. I beg your pardon. And then you've got your intake at the front, which is coming in here, which has got the radar section in it. You've got your wheels coming in, your two halves of your fuselage coming in. Then you've got your swing wings, because it's a swing wing variable geometry wing aircraft. Looks fairly straightforward, to be fair. Clamping those two shells top and bottom together. And then you've got all these strakes that they always have a lot of these strakes, don't they? which always makes me think that that's bad aerodynamics whenever I see that, to be honest. Strakes on top of wings. It's kind of a failure of aerodynamic design, really. You get it on a few aircraft, don't you? But, there we go. So you've got pylons as well. So they've got pylons for the lower wing and strakes on the upper wing. And then you're going to bring in your wings and your tailplanes, and you've got all of your loadout ordnance stores pylons going in here on the right. You've got this spine that it mentions, the one that has this intake in it, and there's like a couple of strakes that go either side of the tail. And then you've got underneath the lower fuselage, you've got some more pylons, hard points going in underneath. You've got your nose wheel, it looks like there, that's the main nose wheel going in, and then you've got your main gear down the side going in here. Sorry, actually that's the fitting of the nose wheel here, and your main gear here. Again, quite a lot of parts here, quite a lot of small parts. Then you've got your gear doors going on. And finally you've got your various stores. Looks like we've got this time we've got fuel tanks. This is the laser designator type weapons pod. A bit of a sort of a copy of a lightning pod, you might say. Short range air-to-air guided missile, which is like a Sparrow equivalent. The R60. And then you've got a B8M1 rocket pod, which is like a Matra copy, Matra rocket style, which looks quite cool. And then we have got a very, very long and very intricate looking pitot arrangement, probe on the nose. Look at all that lot, crumbs. They just look very fiddly, this I've got to say. And then you've got the option of having your canopy open or closed. It's also telling you to put the masks on at this stage to mask your canopy for painting. And then finally you put your reconnaissance stroke weapons designator pod underneath, plus your rocket pods, air-to-air missiles, and fuel tanks all going in like so. And that's kind of it, really. So there we go. That's instructions seem fairly straightforward. It just looks very fiddly kit in terms of lots of little tiny parts. I think the carpet monster's going to clean up on this one, because it's going to be a real frustrating one if you're not careful. You're going to have to find a method of storing those parts when you cut them off the sprue. This might be a good one to paint on the sprue and be a total POS modeler, because if you don't, they're going to be flying all over the place. I can see it coming. Look at the number. Here's the stencils I alluded to. Just look at the number of them. Ah, God, there's a lot, aren't there? 144. Oh Lord, really? Look at the stencils just on the designator pod, the targeting pod. It's covered in them. Oh, this is going to be a real challenge, actually. There's your colour schemes. You got they all seem to be in the same unit. So you got number 48, and there you can see what the swing wing looks like when it's extended or retracted. Number 50, pretty much the same again. No difference at all in the scheme, actually. They're just different numbers, really. So, and then finally you've got number 12. So yes, looks very nice. I like the markings. The Ukrainian camo looks cool, but just a little bit concerned about the fine small parts on this, because I think there are going to be many parts indeed. Right, let's have a look at this photo etch first of all. See what we've got here. We can get into this. It's very tiny. You've got all these belts and things, which 70 seconds ago. This is challenging my eyes already, and I'm only just sitting. I'm not actually trying to make it yet. Just got it in front of me. Well, I won't be making this one because it doesn't belong to me, obviously. But just have a look at this. I'm going to have to get this in close because it's very small. So this is your photo etch fret. There we go. Yes, tiny, frankly. See that in scale in relation to my fingers, it's pretty small, isn't it? Lots of little belts and buckles, and yeah, it's going to be. I hope you've got good eyesight for this kit, because you're going to need it. I'm not sure mine's up to it really. but we shall see. Also in the back you have got your mask set, which looks very good. It does look nice actually. It's nice that ModelSvit include this. Yeah, I did say to ICM about masks when I was chatting to them at the Telford show. I think they're a bit reluctant still because of the extra cost involved, and they don't really want to have another process, I think, that will possibly cause delay in the production. Why can't we focus? Thank you. Yeah, they don't want to have delays in the production schedules with it as well, because I think they'd have to have that done by somebody else. It was interesting actually talking about the ICM scenario, because I think it's worth saying that they do seem to have one or two things, you could say, sort of in that company, weapons in their army, so to speak, no pun intended, that are unique. You know, like this thing about the clear parts, and this chap who polishes the all the clear parts tooling, the mould tooling mould tool, which perhaps other people don't really have, and that gives them some advantages. But yeah, I don't think they have a lot of appetite for producing masks, which is a bit of a shame. But, you know, there's always Edward, isn't there? It's not a problem. Let's have a look at what we got then. So we've got quite a lot of sprues for such a small model. There's a heck of a lot of sprues here, I've got to say. So why don't we start with the clear parts? He says, wincing, because I've often come unstuck. It's not ICM or Tamiya, we seem to have problems. Let's have a look though. Let's have a look. Well, I've got to say that the open option to me looks much nicer than the closed one does. Let's zoom you in, see if you can see this. The closed one, it's okay, but it's got a heck of a lot of distortion, I'd say. Bear in mind, recently we saw the Tamiya F35 with that big canopy, which was just perfection. Not quite at that level here. I'm not sure if you can really tell with the camera. I'm going to try and capture it. There's quite a lot of distortion going on there, but it's clear, it's clean. You know, it's just you can see it here. It's quite hard to show you actually, but there's a lot of sort of warpage within the actual glass, so to speak, especially on the windscreen. It's particularly bad on that side. I'm not sure it's coming out on the camera, but it's not great. Anyway, over on this side it seems better. It seems crisper. Perhaps it's because it's a smaller piece, I don't know. So again, the windscreen is probably the weakest area. Yeah, it's not terrible, but yeah, it's just not up to sort of ICM standards, is it? That's for sure. Anyway, we won't dwell on that too much. It's okay. It's okay. I think I'll be very tempted to have it open, because the open one just to me looks a lot clearer and crisper. The main canopy section above the pilot in particular just looks better, superior. Pop that back in there. Then we'll have, just go through them as you would anyway, I suppose. We've got the main fuselage halves here, which does look very nice actually, yes. Nice panel lining, very crisp moulding. Can't see anything wrong with that, to be honest. It's very even and clean. Good sort of rendering of the panels and the little hatches and things. Yeah, that's nice actually. Other side is here. Yes, it's a nice bit of moulding, very crisp. Feels like quite hard plastic, which I don't really mind. It's very simple on the other side, isn't it? It's not a lot of, it's not that it matters, but just unusually simple on the inside, isn't it? Very much so. But no, that's nice, I like that. That's that one. Then we have got some of the wings. Let's do these two. Now, do we have... Yeah, so you have the inner wing top. It's actually per side. So each one of these sprues is one wing, one complete wing, one side. Top, you got the top inner wing, bottom inner wing, where the gear bay door is, and then you've got the like an they've done it like an insert, haven't they? Like a Tamiya style. Okay, that's cool. and that's the top, I think, and that's the bottom underneath. Yeah, for sure. So yeah, there's a lot of good detail there, I'd say. Look at that. Yes. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. And then you've got your wing, your vane here. This is where the fence is, the strake or wing fence. All designed to stop air from bleeding over and give it better stall characteristics at low speed, which is why I say that some of these Soviet aircraft, they have a lot of these strakes on them, which always makes me think they've not been quite well, perhaps they haven't got quite the right wing design, but there we go. Other side, same again, really. Same thing, just on the opposite wing. Okay. Then we've got some of the detail parts, and they do look very nice. So, we've got here, you've got your afterburner ring here. That looks nice. And you've got your, that's your main bulkhead that goes behind the ejector seat. Here's your main engine sort of housing. And then you've got your, this is the rear, I think it is it the rear or the front? Quite hard to tell actually. I think it's the rear fan blades at the back. Then you've got some combing here for the top of the cockpit. And then you've got basically the bay for the undercarriage, one side and then the other here. And the radome there. Quite pointy, isn't it? And then you've got the inside of the nose wheel well. This here is the ring that goes around the radome, the pointy end, at the compressor, the needle nose compressor end. Then over here we have got, well, that's not quite as impressive as I was hoping. This reminds me of old Airfix a little bit. This is the rocket pod nose. It's a bit basic, bit Airfix stroke Matchbox of the 70s, isn't it really? But here you've got your designator targeting pod, very sort of like a Western one, isn't it really? And then we've got a couple of these other weapons. We've got these tanks. You've got these air-to-air missiles. And this is the main body here of your rocket pod, and that's the back of it. Where is it? There, that's the back, as you can see. Sorry about the noise in the background, that's my central heating firing up, and trust me, today we have got snow. It's the first snow of the year, first snow for about 2-3 years actually. We've had about 3 inches of snow. I've never heard anything like it. It's probably 8 years since we've had that much actually, thinking about it. Anyway, it's very cold. So, I'm alright, I've got my jacket on obviously. Over here we've got the gear bay doors, and this is where we get into a lot of these tiny small parts that I alluded to, which does worry me a bit because there's several sprues of these tiny parts. Just check out how small some of these pieces are. There's bits of everything here. You've just got all your gear legs, and you've got actuator rods for the gear here. No weight on wheels, on the wheels themselves, but they're nicely moulded. They're okay. The brakes there clear. And then we've got the inside of the gear doors. All very nice. Next one with lots of little parts on it. Here we go again. Oh, these are fine. I mean, I've got to admire their moulding is really nice. It's very ICM-like, isn't it? Very fine parts. These are probably, going back to my recent painting on the sprue video, these probably I'd leave them on the sprue until you really need to take them off. Because some of this stuff is so fine, you are going to maybe struggle with such teensy tiny pieces. You definitely want to leave them on the sprue, these, I think, and know where they are. So there's all your different rails and pylons. I've got a bit of flash on that, just a little bit of a hint of flash, just creeping in a little bit, but they are such fine pieces. I'm not that surprised. Wow. Then we've got the one that's got the ejector seat in it. A little, very small sprue of its own right with the ejector seat, as you can see. That's all just ejector seat, that entire sprue. Remarkable. Very small. I mean, this is a very small fiddly kit to have an ejector seat with that many pieces. Good lord. Whew, I don't know. Then we've got some slightly bigger parts here. We've got our tail section. And we've got we've got another couple of these wing fences here. And you've got your tail planes. Very like a MiG-21 to look at, isn't it, really? Huh. And a couple more pylons here. And then last but not least, we've got the drop tanks. Drop tanks with they've got a ram air turbine on the front of them. Is it a ram air turbine? Yes, I think it is. Now, why is that? Is that to pressurise them? That's interesting. They seem to have like a little ram air turbine, almost like a fuse on a bomb. And they've got one at the back as well. Is that flash, or is that supposed to be there? I'm not sure that isn't just flash. I think it's flash. I don't think it's a ram air turbine at all. I think it's actually not. If you look at the one beneath it, that's got it all over as well, front and rear. Yeah, I don't think that's supposed to be there. I think it's just a bit of flash has crept onto the mould. So just take that with a pinch of salt. I thought it was odd. Didn't look quite right. And then over the other side, you've got the same over there, look, on this opposite end. So it's just a little bit of flash. You can see flash creeping in here and there on the sprue. It's not up to ICM standards, or certainly not modern ICM standards anyway, in fairness. But it's quite a nice kit. It's got a lot of detail, hasn't it? And you know, I would say though, I don't think they're the cheapest kits in the world. I think these are mid-late 30 quid. You know, I think, you know, bear in mind I paid $29.99 for my F-35 from Tamiya. This will cost you more. This will cost you more. I don't think the standard is up to Airfix, ICM, or any of the other modern mainstream manufacturers, but we've got to bear in mind that these guys are they're a lower run manufacturer over in the Ukraine. And they do one or two interesting subjects. And obviously this Ukrainian version here is quite a good one. I haven't seen that much flash. The strange thing about the flash is it's actually quite symmetrical. That's what fooled me. It was in a symmetrical position. Makes you think, is that supposed to be there? I don't think it is. We will just check in the instructions again, just to satisfy myself that that is the case. So let's tapping it out. Come on, you can come out. Sure you can do it. Perhaps they need to make the instructions a little bit smaller. There we go, let's just gently peel that out. There we go. Don't worry David, I haven't damaged it, it's okay. Let's just have a look at these. Yeah, it's flash. It's just that they're so symmetrical, that flash is almost, it had me thinking, oh wow, it's got these like ram air turbine or prop drivers on them or something. But they are not in the instructions, they're not shown at all, so that is flash. So. Yes, it does count against it just a little bit, I'm afraid that does, because there's quite a lot of it in fairness. So, it's a nice kit, it's an interesting subject, something a little bit different. And it's got a heck of a lot of detail for the money. I think I'm going to give it 8.75 out of 10, because it's a nice, it's just the flash and the canopy, which I thought was a bit substandard really, a bit like we saw from Mini Art, dare I say. It wasn't quite the clearest or clear enough really. So I think 8.75, that's quite generous really. I think that's okay, but it's a nice model, and it's got some good, you know, detail and history and all that stuff. And it's got a lot of parts, so it'll keep you busy. I think you probably need more than a weekend to put that together properly. It's quite hard work, I think. Yeah, and I think you'd be probably paying some not far off £40 for that, sort of in the £35 to £40 mark. But it may be available cheaper elsewhere. So that's where I'm at, 8.75 out of 10. Well done, ModelSvit. I do like the manufacturer. I like the fact that they do things a bit differently. Perhaps it's an older tool, I don't know. But we have seen slightly cleaner tools from them than that, I have to say. But it's not all bad. Some of it's perfect. Just Perhaps it's on those weapons, perhaps they're a generic sprue that gets used for other kits as well. That happens a lot. Anyway, hope you found it interesting. Thank you very much for joining me and your time watching the vid. I'm sure there will be more coming up very soon. And in the meantime, thanks very much. Take care of yourselves. Thanks a lot. And bye for now.